I thoroughly enjoyed your movie.
Thank you.
I watched it on my home television because it was in advance, and I thought to myself, you would probably think that's heresy because this is a movie intended for a big screen.
Yeah, I don't jump on that wagon to kind of say what's the matter with you, but you know, the reality is that there is a difference, and but the movie still has to speak to you, whether it's this big or this big or this big, and the only way that happens is if you somehow buy into what's being said, what's being filmed, how it's been linked together.
For me, you know, growing up, going to the movies was like an event, and the theater in my hometown, which still exists, the County Theater in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, it was a happening, and I kind of got that feel from just the tone and the vibe of your film, and I guess that's what was intended.
Yeah, so for me, it's a film that needs a curtain.
Right.
It needs
Totally.
to open, and what happens is, and you think to yourself, something magical can happen, and what? No, not so great. It's an anthill, but then a stake goes into it, and the ants come out, and we understand we're going to go somewhere.
Horizon, an American Saga. What's intended with the subtitle?
I didn't know. Listen, there's probably more to it than there should be. You know, I make my stories till they're done, and I knew that there was 4 movies here, and they are linked, and they are built like a novel for me. So I don't know if you had the experience I did. Sometimes people, they say, "What's the book you're reading?" All those things. Is it any good? First 100 pages were, but man, did it boom. Well, you can't have a boom unless you have those first 100 pages. You can't have it. You lay the framework, you lay how people are going to look, how they're going to move, the landscape. And so I'm in love with that. I'm in love with the first 100 pages.
Is it all going to converge? I mean, it's you and it's Sienna Miller. You're on horseback. She's with child. There's the wagon train. There are the settlers who are battling the elements. And to some extent, the indigenous. It's coming together.
Well, you and I didn't even know how we were going to meet, but I've seen you, and we continue to do what we do, and we met. What happens is people were, there was a promise of the West, which is if you were mean enough, tough enough, smart enough, you could own something. And flyers were being made in Chicago. That's why I ended that moment. There's a man flipping things.
Right.
And it's just a lie about what occurs, and they're become more elaborate. You can catch trout in that river, and yet, and he will show up, and he will be dealt with, and you'll love it. And so for me, it's a big secret what each one is. Not a secret, it's more of a surprise. It's like, there's no greater pleasure I have than saying I heard the best song, or I just read the best book. I want to share that. That's not something you kind of don't tell anyone. It's not treasure. There's something intuitive or something about us that when something moves us, we elect to share it.
When I go to the movies with my wife, I'm usually there for the gratuitous sex, violence, some profanity, and then on the way out, I'll say to her, "So what was that all about?" Is there a message to this, or is it pure entertainment?
There's There's both. The message is that if you can't place yourself back 150 years, you're not going to understand the need of water and the idea of bathing. And maybe you need to watch what other people do and get up early, do what they do. So we think, oh yeah, we've heard there's water in the desert. But what happens is I like to go that extra step and one guy won't talk to his wife. And the guy goes, well, I will. And the guys you go expect to understand, quit looking, and they're just as mean. I like the literacy of movies. So maybe there's no lesson, but it's like, can you feel that could have been you seeing your son come back into a room when he should have disappeared down a hole?
Yeah.
And there's no moment at that point. That's why he simply says to him, are you ready? Are you ready to die? That's what I didn't add the line die on purpose, Mike. I just said, are you ready? And he says, I think so.
The two-step release is also very unique. Come in June, come back at the end of summer. It occurs to me that if I hadn't seen Fast and Furious 1 through 27 and I went to see 28, it wouldn't matter.
It wouldn't matter.
Right. In this case, it's going to matter.
It is going to matter, and you know, and 3 is 2 is just dependent on 3, and 4 is it. And I'm not making it up. It's done. It's written. It's where it's going, and it's just a story to perhaps revisit. It's language. The language is the star of the movie. Women are the star of my westerns, quite honestly.
You got a thing for the American West. I mean, it's a good thing, but you clearly are a person who appreciates the beauty of the American West.
Well, I feel like I try to imagine the simple drama of meeting a stranger, you know, 100 yards away from you and not knowing what he wants, and understanding there's a lot at stake over what you have, and what you have is really very limited. You have a horse, and only the possessions you have are on your back. And does this guy want them?
Finally, you obviously are passionate about this. You've been working on it literally for decades, and it's been in the press and you've confirmed it. You've written a big check to make it happen. Why are you so passionate about Horizon?
It's just been a series of checks.
Are the checks over, or I get two more movies worth?
No, look at it. I'm me. Listen, I've been so happy that some of the things that have happened to me, and I have been able to amass a certain thing, but I haven't built a life on making this pile over here that I didn't know was ever grow bigger. I appreciate what I have, and I want to try to protect it, but not protect it to the point that I can't make a move and risk that to do this, because this is what's speaking to me. And so I don't let this rule me. There's a level that my family needs. They want more, then they got to do better, and they'll get more, but they can have all this. But this isn't what has to be protected. This is what has to be protected. This is what I've got to find. I have to stay on the yellow brick road for what moves me, for what I want to share. I read that best book I read last. I want to tell you about it. I heard the greatest joke. I heard the best song. I saw a movie that made me move. I need to be a part. That's the kind of things I want to try to be a part of. Now, whether I get there or not is up to somebody that goes and looks at it and goes, did I take that ride? Will I take my wife to see this movie? I don't want to see Westerns. This is, yeah, you might want to see this, because that's part of the surprise. Maybe that's, you know, I was just blabbing on just then, I think.
It's all right, I liked it.
You know, I was just going somewhere. It's my relationship with an audience is to take them to a place that surprises me, because I believe it will surprise them. That they will find honor in the way people live, and they'll find dishonor in the way people conduct themselves, and they'll maybe have a little empathy for both.
Final question. You know I'm a political guy. People love looking at your last project through a political lens. Surely you know that, right? That it's like championed in some states, maybe even more than others. Do you think about that in terms of what your work and how you're perceived politically?
No, not really. You know, the one thing I love about America is you can go in that booth and you can still close the curtain on what it is you think and do what you feel is right. And there's times when you feel like your voice needs to be heard, and there's other times when you can continue to listen. I see things really clearly for myself. This country means an incredible amount to me. The flag means something to me. The people who lives cut short defending it. It's like, you know, we have something to protect, something to push forward, and the only way we get there is to lose our ego, and to fall back and have a higher understanding of what public service means.
Good luck with Horizon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I don't know if you were waving at me, but it felt like it was the time, so